begin with, what is this session based on, right? This session was not titled How to Research for MUNs. This session was titled How to Research. The larger goal of conducting an intra-month and for having this session is to, not only equip but train students from Kelkar also, to conduct academic research and to start that spark, that what is research. So things which I say here might be related to, and will be related to MUN, but at the same time, it's going to be also broad based in regards to what research should be. Because, that is what research is. Like, research is not one straightforward thing which you are supposed to do in a particular way for a particular thing. It is broad based. It has interlinks. You can link a particular kind of research to you can relate a research for a MUN to an academic paper also. So these things might sound abstract and absurd right now, but we slowly try to establish that link as we go ahead. So when I thought of conducting this session, the two questions came to my mind. Like, what is creation? What is creation? When you create something, is it new or you're replicating that? And I feel that is how you can actually break down research in. Are you creating something new, or are you building upon it, or are you doing both? So I personally like to distinguish them in a form called as exploratory and explanatory, but we'll build upon that eventually. But first I would like to know, what is research for you guys? What do you guys think of research? What is your first impression, or so far what have you been doing uh, under research? So if some of you could share, so I could actually understand that where you guys are coming from, and then from there we could build it up. So anytime, someone could just start sharing their experience so far, it would be great, and then I'll take it over from there.
So can I share?
Yes, yes.
So for me, research is basically understanding the basics of the agenda. The
Oh,
basics, what the agenda is.
sure, sure. Thank you. Could we have some other participant?
Sir, for research, for me, it is like going to the roots of the topic and extracting all the information and then consolidating it into points and then deliver the speeches.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. Would
May I?
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
For me, research is basically building more blocks of knowledge from the existing knowledge that we have. So it is basically research, in a sense, searched one again and again in order to build new blocks of knowledge.
Sure. Thank you so much. That's great. Would anyone else like to share, or should I take it up from here? Okay, yeah, that was great, to hear some of your views, So yeah, as I said, research could be, you're finding something new, which was not there. But finding something new which was not existing earlier can also mean that you're building upon a particular thought or a particular area of study. So I personally believe that research is, personal to all of us. We all do our research in a particular way. So it is subjective, but at the same time, it is also influenced by certain general practices, and we need to respect those. So as I mentioned earlier, in regards to academic research or research in general, you could branch them out into two parts: explanatory or exploratory. Explanatory, the word itself says it. You're explaining, you're building upon it. And at the same time, exploratory could be exploring a new area, a new field, or a new aspect under the broader theme. If you ask me personally, a combination of both is something which I prefer, and which I uh, practice also, whenever I'm conducting research for a conference or for uh, an academic paper which I'm working on. So the trick here actually is to look at a particular problem in several ways. You could call it a holistic way. Look at things from different perspectives, look at things from different lenses, if that is the word which has to be used. That how can we look at a particular thing from several different ways. How can we look at a particular thing from a legal perspective, from a moral perspective, psychological perspective, social perspective, political perspective? How do we do that? That is the trick here. Your research can be focused. Your research can be narrow. It doesn't have to be broad based always, but mm, including essential components from these different areas can add an extra layer of flavor into it, right? Because all we are all if not all what we're trying to do here is to at least make sure that we are trying to fill in the missing gaps which exist, or we are trying to understand the existing information and trying to use it in a different way, for the betterment, and as it is said, right, you are not here to only find answers. You are here to find answers and come up to consensus, or taking decisions. At the same time, you're here to build up upon the existing argument, existing debate. We are here to go ahead and gain a greater understanding of how things exist and why things exist in the way they do. This might slightly get philosophical, but yeah, first order and second order way of thinking, that why is this the way, but okay, but why is that in that way? So these are the thin layer between that, and yeah, we can always try to play around with them, and try to gain a better understanding of both the fields. Now, with an abstract brief about what research could be, we can slowly start moving towards what it has to be for an MUN, starting with a background guide. We need to understand a background guide, or a study guide. I prefer calling it a background guide. What is it? What is its purpose? How could you use it? And is it the beginning and the end, or is it a beginning for you to go ahead and build upon it, right? So I would purposely say that the word background guide itself says it, right? It's a background for your research. It's not the end, it's just for you to get an idea of what the executive board had in mind. But that doesn't mean that what they had in mind is something which has to be discussed. It's not affirmative ki this has to happen. This could happen, this could be the direction in which the committee goes to. With that, never be limited to your background guide. Always read more, always find more content. You can go in a completely different direction also, right? So it's just a tool to start your research. I wouldn't call it I wouldn't give it more importance than that, like something for you to know, right? Because complete abstraction also can create problems, right? Because what do the judges or what does the executive board expect, or in what direction are they going ahead in? So for me, the background guide holds that value. You are free to go ahead in your own direction and explore the topic as you wish to. And before we actually delve into how you can research for MUNs, what I would like to say is that I am not going to structure this talk for UNEA, which is going to take place on 6th. This is for research, MUN research also in general for your future. So everything which I do, which I tell you, I'm not expecting you to do that and come on Sunday. This is just a broad thought, what you can do in the future. Because as we know, or if you guys don't know, the Intraman has been organized to spark a beginning. It is not the end. What happens on Sunday is just to make sure that we go ahead and do it outside also, So just to provide a platform to Kilkar students and create that passion, or enthusiasm towards MUNs again. So no need to get overwhelmed or confused. Okay, we have to do this and we have to do that also. You choose wisely what you want to do. It's a big basket, and we need to choose what we want to do depending upon the topic. So now finally coming to the main topic, right? How to research for an MUN. So I would like to say that things which I'm going to say have worked for me. Some of them are personal, some of them are general practices. People might agree to it or not agree to it, but fortunately they have worked for me, so I'm going to be speaking from that perspective. I'll be sharing my screen right now. to make things easy for everyone. Is my screen visible? If
Yes.
someone could tell me,
Yes, it is.
is it?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. No.
It's not. Hello.
It is. It is.
It is. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, uh, just try and look at the larger picture. Okay, while I mention certain things over here, try to look at them in a segregated way also. Okay, try to look at them independently also, but at the same time try to link all of them also, you know, like one aspect to the other and so on and so forth. So I would personally break down, you know, a research for an MUN into three broad areas. Okay, and before we get into those areas, I would like to say that these are just broad areas. You can always go in depth. So it's just like saying that you have political science as a subject, and under political science there are several theories, several concepts, you know. So when I speak about a particular area, there are going to be tons and tons of concept under it. So if, you know, we talk about 10 concepts, there are going to be 20-30 more concepts under them independently perhaps. So when you Google them, or, you know, when you actually visit these places, be ready for that. With that, I frankly believe we can, you know, break down the research for an MUN into, you know, couple of parts. One could be, you know, agenda based research. Then you could have your portfolio based research, and then, you know, you could also look into committee based research, and, you know, research on UN as a whole, you know, UN sources, what UN provides you. Because if it's you know, many agendas, and, you know, on many topics, you'll find a lot of information in different forms in on UN sites or UN pages, you know, and we'll get into that. So just, you know, for now, let's title it UN. So to begin with agendas. Just a second. Just give me a second, you know, I'm not that good. Yep. So to start with agenda based research, again, all that I'll be saying today is just going to be primary, you know, as I don't want to complicate things, but just I want to give you guys a push, you know, to start actually going ahead with research and not being overwhelmed. ये research होता क्या है? So for any topic, you know, this is what I believe, you need to have historical understanding. Okay, what is historical understanding? You know, would anyone like to share what they actually understand by this term historical understanding? It could be anyone, you know, just a thought.
May I?
Yeah, for sure.
So historical means that any agenda has certain roots in history. That if today we are doing something, that means in past that has been happened something which is related, and we want a change, so that we have brought forward an agenda.
Sure. Thank you so much. So yeah, that does, you know, answer the question. So, you know, problems evolve over a period of time, right? The problems or issues, you know, problems don't come up just because of a single action, or, you know, they just don't come up in a day or in a year. They'll eventually, you know, develop over a period of time. So historical understanding, how did the problem start? When did the problem start? And I would request, you know, people not to annotate. I know it's funny, but yeah, problems do evolve over a period of time. So tracing down the historical development of how problems have started, you know, which can also add value to your agenda-based research. But at the same time, with historical understanding, the gradual development also, uh, the gradual develop. So tracing down the gradual development is also something, which can do good, to your research. How has the problem evolved over a period of time? Now let's take our agenda, right? Why is sustainable development important today? This argument has been going on for years now, and finally today we are in this situation, right? Why are nature-based solutions so important? So why did UNEA have to consider, the use of nature-based solutions as one of its theme recommendations? Why has this happened? You trace that down, to get a broader understanding of how things work and how things should work. And I don't need to mention this, but what's happening in contemporary times, what's happening in the present, so we can term this as contemporary state, so what is happening in the present, which is very, very obvious, that everyone has to do that. When we do this, after this we can, again move to three basic distinctions. One could be causes, then you could have effects, then you could have solutions. Okay, but when I speak about causes, effects and solutions, okay, these are not just three big headers: causes, effects, solutions. You need to delve deep into them. There can be hundreds of causes, there can be hundreds of effects, there can be hundreds of solutions. Solutions can be used in different ways also, right? So these could be broad terms which you could use as a beginner, okay? And we all have to pass through that stage of learning actually, that what are causes, effects and solutions, that could be a primary way of looking at any problem. I'm not saying this is the end result. You can always, formalize this, fine tune this, but to start with, this could be a good place to, start. Along with that, as I spoke about historical understanding, you could also look at past, national or international actions taken. This could just be a follow-up on the historical understanding, that what actions were taken, were any decisions taken, was anything formalized, so which could also help a lot. So to begin with, for your first conference, when you're exploring, when you're actually trying to understand what MUNs are, for your agenda, only agenda related. Okay, so when I speak about the other three concepts, portfolio, committee, UN, just because I speak about agenda related research in regards to these subtopics, that doesn't mean it has to be limited to that. You have to make interlinks between different broad themes. For example, you can make an interlink between tracing gradual development to the effects, or historical understanding to solutions, something of that sort. Broaden your horizon, try to think out of the box. But primarily, this is something which you can do for your agenda. But again, going back to it, that don't stay limited to it. We'll get to the sources eventually. Right now, we'll just stay limited to the practice, of how to do things. After agenda, I would like to, speak about your portfolio. What is your portfolio? Your country is your, portfolio over here. Great. So, what is your portfolio? So when we think about our portfolio, it's our country which we are representing, or if you are representing, if you're or an individual, but here as it's a UN committee, we are representing a country. So portfolio research, I personally believe, is very important, because that helps you gain understanding of who you are representing in the committee. And at the same time, portfolio research can be done for other participants also, right? Just because if I am India, that doesn't mean that I don't have to research about other countries. I obviously have to do that to get a well-rounded, or overall understanding of the issue at hand. So I believe that your portfolio research can start by the physical geography. What does okay, could someone tell me what physical geography comprises of? If anyone would like to volunteer.
May I?
Yes, please.
So it basically refers to the geographic location of that country.
Yeah. Thank you. So, and physical geography could get slightly important, and more relevant for us in this committee also, right? Where your country is, and under what, with geography you can also, look into various aspects, right? Geography is not just about where you're located, but your physical location also will speak about various other things, who are your neighbors, then you can read about your neighbors, how are your ties with your neighbors, so on and so forth, and your geography could also depict what kind of environmental conditions are in your country, right? Because we have a broad understanding of how climate works, or how climatic conditions are there throughout the world. After physical geography, we can move to just a second. Politics, what do I mean by politics? Would anyone like to make any guesses? Would anyone like to volunteer? What do I mean by politics in context to?
May I speak up?
Yeah, please.
Politics can basically mean a set of rules and regulation, the algorithm which is necessary for governing anything for the governmental organization.
Sure. Thank you. So also, let's just have this practice, because I would like to know your names also. So if you could just introduce yourself when you speak, it'll be good to hear some names. So yeah, when I look at a political, more than politics, we can, for now let's term it politics. When we look at politics, we can look at certain things. Type of government, which will indicate a lot about how your respective nation or state is functioning. And at the same time, who are your leaders? Okay, who are national leaders? And when we speak about who are your leaders, obviously their beliefs, their ideas, their inclinations, and a leader's dominance or a leader's impact differs from topic to topic, right? So you have to find out the exact individual or group of people who have spoken on a particular thing. So that is something which you could find out. Then you should, this is not a could, but you should find who your allies and adversaries are, because this will help you a lot, in regards to functioning in a committee and lobbying, as we practice it. So this is something which you should do, try to find out what kind of government, who are leaders, or allies and adversaries. And then you could also try to look at the culture. What kind of culture does your country have? This might get slightly tedious, but it's always better to know, right? Because you never know from where questions are going to come. There might be, like focusing on our agenda, there might be some religious practices, which are, there in a particular country, which might not be, environment friendly. your defense for that, what is your government doing to deal with them, so on and so forth. So this is something which you could do. Again, not a compulsion, but if possible you should do that. And then we come to another important aspect, is economy. So could someone tell me how could the economy and information related to that be important to us? Let's try to make this more and more interactive, because I personally believe we all know the answers. So there might be certain things which you already know, and I'll just be repeating them. So if someone could give me an answer about what.
May I?
Yes, please.
So economy is can play a major factor in determining how well and how efficiently a country can implement solutions to problems.
Sure. Thank you so much. Yeah, under economy, you could look at imports and exports. You could look at your trading partners. That could again somewhat give you an idea of what is happening in regard how your international ties are. Okay, so this is something which you could do. This is for a well-rounded overall understanding of your respected nation. Yeah, apart from this, I believe one very important aspect of understanding your portfolio would be what your policy is. And I would like to have a minor discussion on this. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute. Just hang on to the word foreign policy. I would like to hear your thoughts in regards to what you feel foreign policy is, because foreign policy is very important when you are participating in a MUN. So would anyone like to share their thoughts in regards to what they know about foreign policy, or what they think foreign policy is, right? Because it is like, I would appreciate if everyone is participating and comfortable here, because here is where you can we all can make mistakes and learn. So go ahead and share your thoughts, what you think about foreign policy. It will be good to hear.
Can I speak up?
Sure.
Yes, please, both of you can speak up one after the other. Yeah, please go ahead.
Well, who's speaking?
You go ahead.
Yes. So actually, the international policy is a thing on like it is a basis on which a nation maintains its interest in a particular subject and also maintains the diplomatic part in it and maintains relations with other country, rather be it friendly or unfriendly.
Thank you so much. Yeah, one more person wanted to say something, right?
May I add something, please?
Yes, please.
So it is basically a strategy which one nation applies to maintain relationships with other. So basically a strategy where a nation understands that which nation will help them grow and how to support them and how to them. So basically it's a individual strategy which includes all the other nations as well for their personal growth.
Sure. Thank you so much. So yeah, you guys are partially right, but this is there is no form. You won't find any formal document. You have to understand your country's foreign policy, right? So I'll just read out a journal which I refer to, and something which I agree with. Foreign policy decision making is agreed to be one of the greatest instrument at a state's disposal to pursue its national interest. Let's focus on the word national interest. Foreign policy and national interest. It is considered as a full political activity of states, and if not a goal, but an efficient foreign policy would obviously lead to the state in fulfilling its national interests and acquiring a rightful place among the committee of other nations. This is there, but however, there's a problem also. However, the problem that one faces is that a study of policy is the problem of definition or clear meaning. There is no clear meaning, right? Your country's stance and country's interests can differ from topic to topic. Maybe your country has a particular stance on environmental issues and particular stance on nuclear disarmament, or that aspect, and you agree with a different country. Your allies or your agreements are happening in different countries accordingly, right? So for reference, and just for the fun of reading, I'll be putting this link over here in the chat box. After the session is over, if anyone is interested, you guys could go and refer to this research paper. I really like the findings of this research paper and how they have explained. It really goes in depth in regards to what foreign policies could be or what foreign policies should be, and how do we get over this abstractism or confusion of there being no concrete meaning कि हमारी foreign policy है क्या, how do we actually understand. So I am just sharing the link over here, and you guys can go to it later on and always refer to it. With that, we'll move ahead and again go back to our document and actually build up upon what we were doing currently. Are there any questions about the foreign policy, or are you all clear about that? If there are, have them right now. I'll address them, at the end. Now, when we speak about, portfolio-based research, you could stay limited, for your first couple of conferences with this. As you go ahead, broaden it, go more in depth. Now the question arises, where will you find these things? Okay, so I believe, it is important to know that where a person can find this information, right? Because it can get slightly tedious in finding information about your nation, because what sources can we use. So I'll just give me a minute. I'll just start typing. I'm having some problems with my screen. Yeah, great. What sources do we use? Sources. Perfect. So you can always go to your official government website. That is one. There is this there's this page and there's this website also called as International Model United Nations Association. Just a minute. If you go to this website, you'll find information about every country in briefs. Okay, so you will get the basic information which you're supposed to have, and you should also refer to refer to BBC timeline. If you type BBC timeline on Google, you'll find a lot of things about your country in a periodical way. How things have evolved over a period of time, and how things are existing currently also. It will start back in the 80s and all. So it's a really great source to use, to get an overall understanding of how and what your country has done and what your country has been through. I would also recommend that through YouTube videos, from valid channels, or from your official government website. Do try to find speeches which have been made, and also try to look at press releases or any decisions taken. By decisions taken, I mean laws formed, your domestic, your national law. Okay, so you should try, you should also do that to get a deeper understanding of what is happening and how things are happening, because sometimes you will be, not sometimes, most of the times you could be also questioned in regards to particular statements made by someone important from your country, and how are you going to answer that. That is also very important. You need to know, not only know about other countries, but have a greater understanding of what decisions or what laws your country also follows. uh, then moving ahead to committee based research. In regards to committee based research, I believe this is something which I do again, right? So now we'll keep it specific to our committee over here and not just do it in a generalized way. What is UNEA, right? What is the United Nations Environment Assembly? Okay, what can it do? What can it do? This could also be called as the mandate. What is your committee allowed to do, and what are its limitations? What is outside its mandate, what is within its mandate. you know Along with that, you should also focus on key and guiding documents. Every committee has certain key and guiding documents, which guide the proceedings, of that respective committee. And to give you some examples, these could be resolutions and decisions taken. And in regards to UNEA has a midterm strategy plan. Okay, so it could also be such documents. Just a minute, just give me a minute. I'll Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
So committee based documents, so your guiding documents don't always have to be limited to the committee which you are in, right? It can also be something which can so as we know, we are the governing council for the environment program, right? So the UNEP's guiding documents also are important for us. So one example as the guiding document for that could be the medium term strategy. So these key documents, you know, can help us in a greater understanding of actually how the committee works. You'll also find the technical rules of procedures. Many committees will have their rules. UNEA also, as you guys know, has its own rules of procedure. But which is a very exhaustive thing to do. Starting with with every practice which they start with, this election of the bureau and so on and so forth. So, but those things are good to know. To have an actual understanding of how things function and how they should function, in fact. So with that, we'll move ahead now in regards to, okay. Yeah. After looking at the key and guiding documents, we can then, or we should in fact, look at expert groups, expert and working groups. which are in association or are are working under a particular body, and carrying out studies, on the field, looking at focusing on certain issues. So one could look at that, and at the same time one could also look at private sector engagement, how the private sector is involved in regards to working and collaborating towards a particular cause. And while we look at the private sector engagement, we should also look at NGO involvement, right? How non-governmental organizations are also working towards a bigger cause, and how this whole synergy of different institutions coming together takes place, which will give us a holistic understanding of the issue at hand. At the same time, as we know, we have sessions, right? UNEA has sessions. We have sessions every 2 years. So look at past assembly sessions, and this is UNEA specific. When you go to other committees also will have sessions. So look at those sessions also. So look at past assembly sessions and their records. When you look at these records, you will find what was discussed back then. You will also come across recommendations which are made in regards to what should take place in the next session. So try to look at past assembly sessions also. To sum up again, in regards to what should be done in committee-based research, what is your committee, what can it do, key and guiding documents, the key and guiding documents. To give examples, you can have resolutions and what decisions are taken. Then you could have guiding documents of a larger body. You could also then focus on expert and working groups, private sector engagement, NGO involvements, and past assembly sessions and their records. This is something which could do, and this might or might not be exhaustive. There can be still a lot to do, after this, but this is something which you could give a try. There's always somewhere we can start, and then we can find out whether that start was the right start or not. Now coming to the fourth point, we are in a UN simulation, right? So it is very important to have an overall understanding of what takes place in the UN, and how certain discussions and things have taken place in regards to a particular topic, because there are always interlinks, in regards to how things take place. One beautiful thing which you could do to have a greater understanding of how you can gain more information about the UN is obviously go to un.org, but under un.org go to a part where they speak about the UN has a segment called as segment or part in the website called as official documentation series, official documentation services. You can always refer to this and find several documents and articles, about UN and its functioning, which could lay light on how you yourself can, use that information in the committee. Then you should also look at the speeches made at UN. You could look at UN permanent missions. So we have certain permanent missions focused on certain topics. So you could always look at those missions and try to link them to your agenda. Maybe your country is involved in a particular mission. So you can also try to find that out, because there are many countries which have individually taken up missions under UNEA. Also there are many missions which have been taken up, and Tanzania, just example being one of the countries, it has several missions which they have taken. And so this is something which you can use in committee. These are the efforts taken by our own nation. Along with this, I feel the holy grail of doing any UN committee would be to refer for referring to the UN Charter. Your UN Charter is very important. How you use it, how you use different parts of the UN Charter, and how you link it to your actual proceeding or your presence in the committee will matter, because there are various articles and certain chapters which will always be linked to some or the other agenda, some or the other committee, So try to understand what the UN Charter is doing here. Try to go through it once or twice, to start with, and read it. Every time you read it, don't stop at one or two times. Every time you read it, your understanding will increase accordingly. Then moving ahead in regards to finding sources from UN, you can go to the UN library, where you will find out lots of research conducted, which is free to access. Then you can also, there's also a parallel to this, which will be UNI library, which will give you an access to over 4,000 books and more for on various topics. And trust me, every time I have used UNI library, I have found something or the other which has been useful, to assist me in actually conducting research for my academic things, or for an actual MUN which I'm participating in. There's also this website called as the Essential UN, which can help you get a lot of information about the functioning and what UN is actually. Moving ahead, I personally believe, we need to have understanding of several conventions, several declarations which have passed, over the period of last how many years, which has taken place, that what are conventions, what are declarations, how they impact our research, how they impact what the committee should do. So feel free to explore different conventions, different declarations, and use them prudently. Don't base your research only on these things, but I believe you should know what has happened elsewhere too. What, certain decisions which were taken in some meeting or some gathering of nations. So this is that understanding also could be equally useful. Moving ahead, there are certain things, which have been adopted by the UN. You could term them as other instruments adopted by the UN. And what this helps you do is, this is not only limiting you to the primary but the secondary instruments also, which UN has adopted, which will add value to your research, which might be out of the box, right? Because they are not the primary things which happen. They are on some special occasions, or the rarity, if I can term it in that way. Moving ahead, the UN collection of treaties also is very important, as not most, but some of them will have direct relation and impact on the agenda which you are currently reading about, or the agenda which you are focusing upon. You could, this is a could, you could look at them, and it could always do good to you. Then again, along with the sources like the UN library and UNI library, you could also look at the UN journal and look at various different things, or which are published over there. This could be a very reliable source which you could use. Apart from this, as I spoke about other instruments adopted by the UN and permanent missions earlier, there are different issues and campaigns which UN takes up. One of the broad campaign and issue which UN is focusing on is sustainable development. Also, if you look at the tab, where you speak about different issues and campaigns, sustainable development is one of them. Try to look at these different issues also, which will lay light on how things have happened and how UN is approaching them, and not, it will be a broad understanding of what UN's thought is and what UN actually is intending to do. You might or might not agree with that. Moving ahead, to find out what your country stands for, or what other country stands for, or what other countries had stood for, or are they, you know, actually sticking to that, you can check voting records. Who voted for what? This is something which you will find in the UN archives. You go to UN archives and you click to, you'll find a particular section on voting records, and here is where you can go in depth, into the technical aspects, who voted what, and did they give any justification to that. So this is something which you can do. Now, like we say, right, apart from these sources, does UN have any actual source which we apart from these primary sources? Is there news and media under UN? There are three broad things which I actually follow, and they have been titled as news and media itself. So you will stick to that and not try to be creative over here. So news and media under UN, right? So this is something which is updated regularly, and this is information from all over the world, from different missions and different campaigns which are taking place, and which are. Just give me a minute. Cool. So, in regards to news and media, you could refer to three things. One is UNI feed. Then we could move ahead, and there's this podcast, which I really like, Awake at Night podcast. This is also again affiliated by, if it's a UN podcast, so you could go through and listen to discussions which take place on that podcast. And then there's this thing called as UN in Action, which is not live but constant updates in regards to what is happening. This being there, we have broadly looked at how different types of research can be done. And going back to my point, just because they are under these broad themes, agenda, portfolio, then you have committee based, and then you have UN, right? That doesn't mean they have to be isolated. You have to look at them together. Try to look at the larger picture, how you can relate your agenda based research to your committee based research and your portfolio based research. And once you do, the number of sub themes and sub topics will just keep on increasing, right? And these, trust me, are the surface level headings. Once you delve deep into it, you will find tons and tons of subtopics under them. You will find many conventions, many declarations, and you will be, one is you will be overwhelmed, or you'll be amused, that wow, this is the amount of information which exists. I personally believe the more the better, but at the same time, more can get confusing too. But I'll leave that to you guys. You guys make your own decisions. After looking at these four things, I believe the most important aspect, and which you all should never give up on, is your ideas. Your ideas are very important when you're conducting research. I'll bold this, that is what makes you unique, right? This is all primary data. This is all the secondary data, literature review, which you're going to do online. This is information. But how do you use that information with a slight innovation from your own side without making any violations? Again, to put that into the picture, we have to always be innovative, but prudently. So your ideas are very important. You try to be as innovative as you can, when you're coming up with certain things, solutions, and how you use the information, how you make the links, interlinks. And that is what will make a huge, difference in regards to how you are, dealing with the problem. Before, we go ahead to the analysis part, I would briefly, like to speak about what's what could you use and what sources you could use. So in regards to sources, I feel, it's said a lot in regards to sources, in regards to UN sources and committee-based sources, and also about the sources for your portfolio-based research. But sources in general, right? What are sources in general? So I'll like to mention few sources in general, but again saying do not stay limited to these sources. There are many more sources which you can refer to. You can you can look at, so you can check out BBC. You can check out you can check out Reuters. Then you can also look at journals, but I'll put a star over here. Depending upon the agenda, journals have particular themes. Choose them wisely depending upon the agenda, check their validity, and look at journals from this perspective, right? That journals will give you an access to tons and tons of academic papers, research conducted, thesis, dissertations, and then you use those in a particular way, which is fruitful for yourself. Don't get overwhelmed by seeing the research in particular journals. Some journals which I would recommend would be Economic and Political Weekly. You can always refer to that is an option. You could look at it. You can look at it. Try to look at journals which have linked their research to UN studies or have gotten recommendations or have been mentioned in UN documents. You can do that. You to, if not journals, and if you want to directly find articles, you can, or research papers, you can use Google Scholar. You can use Google Scholar, and this is not a source. This is a platform. You type Google Scholar and you will come to a different version of Google. I would like to call it the clean version of Google, where you actually find quality over quantity, right? Google Scholar might be slightly tricky to handle. If your college provides it to you, then great. Otherwise you will have to actually pay a subscription fee. But there's always a way around, right? You can find those similar articles outside Google Scholar also, but Google Scholar will be an area where you'll get a list of tons of good articles. Then what you do is you read the abstract and you look at the topic, and then you try to find that article or that research paper elsewhere, and you will find many of these research papers through Google Scholar for free also in general. So you can type the topic's name and type PDF next to it, and you will maybe find it for free elsewhere. Then I believe to add an extra layer of depth to your research, you can also you should in fact look at think tank reports or discussions. And again, now think tank reports and discussions, not every think tank, right? Think tanks with some validity, with some recommendations, with some importance, because there will be think tanks anywhere. Try to, there will be many arguments, right, that this think tank is biased, but try to, cater around those issues and try to find the right sources, and I think you will be through. And as mentioned earlier, UN documents, I believe I've emphasized a lot on that today. Can't do more. So UN documents for sure. Then again, as I said, your ideas need to be reflective when you use this information. This information can be used by just summarizing. Fair enough, you can summarize data, and that will do good to you until a particular extent. But I believe analysis is very important and very crucial in when we think about actually using information anywhere in life, or even in a conference. You need to know how to do analysis. I'll not delve that deep into methods or techniques of analysis. I'll just introduce you all to two methods of analysis, and which could do good to you in your initial stages of money, so that these methods of analysis can be used to cater and supplement these four things, or anything. You use your methods in your own way, you make your own methods, right? As I said earlier. So just give me a minute. I'll have to take care of some issue. I'm having some problem with my mic. Just give me a minute. Yeah. So these these types of analysis are really broad, okay, and they can be used in. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, I'm not able to start my camera. Is there any issue? Yeah. So they're very broad. They can be used for marketing. They can be used to conduct research in IR. They can be used to do multiple things. Different schools of thoughts might have different different lookout or different approach towards looking at these methods. But let's start with, and the second one could be SWOT. So what would anyone like to volunteer and tell us what this means? Just a wild guess, go for it.
Well, I know something about SWOT analysis.
Go ahead.
So S means strength, W weakness. I
Yes.
forgot O, but T means traits. O is opportunities.
Yes. Thank you so much. Could you also like to tell us, how we could use this in an MUN? Now that you know what you're supposed to do. So yeah.
So I will relate from the life which I have from where I've studied. So we actually mark down our strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and traits. And there's actually when we differentiate and we try to convert our weaknesses into strengths and traits into opportunities.
Okay.
This is the way SWOT works. Now in MUN, we may have certain talking about research only. So there will be some certain certain things where our research is strong and it is not. So we can actually divide them between these four, and then we can try to convert them, the weaker researches to strong researches, and that the way it could be done. Or there will be some parts of MUN like speech or our presentation, participation, where we be strong or weak at. So we should differentiate it, and then we should try to convert it.
Sure. Thank you so much. Would anyone else like to share their thoughts? Maybe you agree to this, maybe you disagree. All thoughts are welcome. But the answer answers which she gave were good, you know, and something from which we can start. So you can break down SWOT as strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This could be a breakup. So breakdown of, you know, as whatever you want to call it. So this is something which you can deploy in regards to your committee-based research, in regards to your portfolio-based research, in regards to your agenda-based research. You know, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are the opportunities that you have here, what are the threats? And if you look at it, this opens completely different, you know, look into how you can actually conduct research and carry out research for anything, you know. And this can be instrumental that when you try to link these topics like agenda or portfolio to this, you're not actually only using the existing research, but you're analyzing it through these broad themes. Because no one is going to give you ready information on strengths regards to, you know, let's say, what was your portfolio, Bhavya? You spoke right now, right? What was your portfolio?
Mine was
Norway. So you're not
Norway,
going to get, you're not going to get a straightforward article, Norway strengths, right? So that is where the analysis comes in. That's your own independent thought, how you try to analyze this, and which could add a lot of value when you try to look at things from different perspectives and not just a straightforward thing, ki padho and use karo. You could do that, and it would, you know, do good to you as you go ahead. Then what, before I spoke about pestel and the E, you know, which I've clearly kept it separately for a reason, is that this is a very holistic and broad way of doing analysis. So when you use this, be careful that you use it according to the mandate of your own कमिटी. ऐसा ना हो कि तुम्हारी कमिटी वो कर ही नहीं सकती and तुम वो भी कर रहे हो. So in regards to question, you could look at political, economic, social, technological, environmental, legal, and then the E, the next E has been added on later on. It is not unanimously accepted so far, but there are some schools of thought which accept it, and I believe when we talk about laws and when we talk about when we are having political discussions, I feel ethical and moral discussions also are very important, right? We need to look at the ethical side, moral sides on how decisions are taken. So I believe this E which we are talking about could be no matlab it stands for ethical, and this additional E does give it a higher, not higher, but an extra layer of how you look at it, right? Maybe an economic decision might be feasible, but that economic decision might not be ethical, right? So you're getting the philosophical aspect over it. When I say philosophical aspect, we don't have to be idealist, right? But we have to look at our nation's interest. Our nation's interests are not going to come by incorporating idealism, but at the same time, try to look at the ethical side of a debate also, as it will do good to you. With that, I guess I have, come to an end of what I wanted to tell you all. We'll just go through it. We started with agenda based, how to do agenda based, then portfolio based, what could be the sources for portfolio based research, then committee based, then we delved into UN sources, then we spoke about the news and media, then we spoke about how you should use your ideas, and then sources and platforms. Then we went to forms of analysis, and let me tell you, these are not the only two forms of analysis. You'll find many forms of analysis. Come up with your own forms of analysis, but till you are not able to find parallels, use these. With that, this might seem a lot, or this might seem like nothing. It depends upon how you look at it. But I feel this could be a good place for you to start. Soak this in, try to understand, and eventually gradually use this. For now, it is not compulsory that on Monday you have to use, on Sunday you have to use all these things. These are for your future. So, I hope you guys must have noted things down, and if you haven't, you can ask for the document. I'll share it via Sejal. And as you go ahead to references, try to edit and add your things. Come up with your own method. Some general practices will remain, but some your individual tasks. Maybe you will add and omit certain things. And I guess with that, you should do a good job. And just remember, your research should never be bound by this one conference. Research is very innate. Unconsciously or subconsciously, we are doing research every day in our life in different things. We are curious. We want to know things. We want to know answers. How does that happen? Through research, right? So try to let this inquisitiveness about research, spark always, and try to build upon it. It all doesn't always have to be institutionalized, right? It can always be something which you do independently and build upon it. And I feel that will help you broaden your horizon and also gain more knowledge. With that, I'm done. Thank you. If there are any questions, I would love to answer them now, and we can also have a discussion, if you guys want to have one. So if you have any questions, raise your hands and I'll recognize you. So I don't see any hands raised. So I suppose there aren't. Okay, yeah, there's one hand raised. Yeah. Okay, Norway, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
First doubt I have that you said in the research thing, that was in the section of committee research, you said experts and working group. So I want to know that what the issue we are taking upon, the experts group of the issue or the committee.
So see, when you're looking at it, primarily experts and working groups will be for particular issues, right? For the working of the committee, you have the president and the bureau, as you might know, who get elected, right? So these will be issue specific, working groups for issues, experts on issues. So in regards to sustainable development or adopting natural solutions, you will have experts who are giving suggestions and who are assisting, a particular body. So it will be issue specific and not broad based to start with. Anything else? Do we have any other questions? If we don't, we can quickly wrap this up. Yeah, we do, right? Yeah.
My question is not very technical, like procedure related, but it's more all the research thing and very overwhelming. So do you have any words of advice, because this is my first?
Sure. So yeah, only 2 days left. I do agree, only 2 days are left. But look at it from this perspective, right? It is a 1-day conference. When you look at it, a 1-day conference, that's 5 to 6 hours of debate on that day, starting in the morning. How much time do you need for research, right? If you know what has to be done and how things have to be done, you can get done with research in a night also. Okay, it might sound easy for me to say this now, but trust me, you don't need to feel worried that I just have 2 days left. What you can do is have a discussion with people in the committee. You have a WhatsApp group, right? have a discussion over there that what does the committee want to discuss, and then you can, for your convenience, focus on those things. Otherwise, if you want to do a overall research, even then you can still start and get done before Sunday morning. It will, I don't want to put a number on it, but if you do it properly without getting distracted and without any disturbances, you should be done by tomorrow morning. I won't deny that. So it depends upon how you look at it. Sometimes you might need a week to research, sometimes you might need a day to research, and trust me, this agenda is not that difficult. And as I mentioned, all the things which I said aren't supposed to be done absolutely. You can pick. Some general practices have to remain, but you can pick, right? And the whole point of an intra-month is to learn. Even if you're not able to do all the things, it's fine, but do it in the future. Take the first step by doing some of these, and who knows, you will surprise yourself, right? That maybe you are thinking कि मेरे से नहीं होगा, but हो जाएगा. शुरू करो and you yourself will be shocked. That's all I can say about this. If you have any other question, feel free to ask it, and that applies to others also. So Sejal, what do we do? Am I supposed to wait after every question is answered, or how are we going ahead with this?
If anyone has any other questions, you may put it in the group, the Intraman group which has been created, and Ishan can address it.
Yeah, we have 4 to go ahead. Yeah, please do ask.
So basically, in the agenda-based research, like my question is a little inclusive about the agenda we are given upon. So the agenda for us is totally based upon the environmental problems and all the global climatic changes and all. So my question over here is, when we do researches or when we implement our own ideas upon the introduction of solutions, so should that be exclusive only and only for our country, or it should be like a broad perspective over it? It is applicable for other countries too.
I was
Like
not able to hear you for a minute. Can you repeat everything after our country? You said certain things, right? Solutions for our country, and after that, what did you say?
Yeah. Am I audible now? Like clearly audible?
Yes, you are.
So while implementing the solutions, while we're thinking of the solutions, it should be with the perception of only and only my country, or it should be a wider region that can be inclusive or that can be applicable to other countries too.
It could be both. It depends upon how you look at it and what kind of solutions do you want to bring to the table, right? And what are these solutions? Perhaps a solution which you think will be for your own country might be applicable to several other countries also, right? We do have diversity, but we do have commonness, if you can call it in layman's term. We do have similarities also between nations. So it depends. You come up with solutions, and you yourself, will then be able to decide whether this is a solution only for my nation, or maybe it's a broad-based solution, and you will get to experience this on Sunday, trust me. So try finding solutions, and then you will be able to decide this for sure. But for now, I would say both. It's both. Is there any other question? Because you guys can raise your hands at one time only, right? It was one person asks the question, then there's a silence for 1 minute, then the other person raises the hand. So one final time, is there any other question? If not, you can ask them tomorrow itself to Dharmil, or you can raise those questions in the WhatsApp group also, and they will be answered whenever Dharmil and I are free. So if there are no questions, there are no questions, then we'll conclude today's session. Thank you so much for coming and attending. All the best for your first intra-month. I myself am really excited, being from Kelkar. I've been waiting for this day for a long time, and finally we have an intra-month now. All the best, and I'll see you tomorrow, and then day after tomorrow also. Take care. Bye.